Another topic, flexibility. In IT, it's claimed that, or at least you could see in the ads that, yeah, when you're in IT, you can work around the world very easily without any problem. So you can just easily start to work here, there, and no issues. No. Yeah, I mean, of course, you can work like remotely. You can, let's say, take money from another country. You can stay as a tax resident in another country, so on. But reality in most cases is that if you live in particular countries, let's assume European region and European economical area, in most cases there are regulations. So for example, if you live more than defined period of time in this country, you need to apply for tax residency. As a rule of thumb, is around 180 days, somewhere around that. I mean, different countries, they have slightly different numbers then, but you can always check in the destination country. Let's assume you want to travel to Spain and you want to live in Spain for, I don't know, half of a year, just because you love sun over the winter or whatever. So yeah, you need to check the regulations in Spain, like for how long they allow you to stay there without applying for the tax residency, even when you work for remote. Let's assume you have, I don't know, like German, let's say, residency, but you want to live in Spain. It means that you need to apply at some point to tax residency as well in Spain, because you live more than defined period of time. So here on the paper it looks very easy, just jump to another country, keep paying taxes in other country where your region or where you have your another residency. But you always need to keep in mind additional tax residencies. So you might be resident from one country, but tax resident from another country. And sometimes there also would be questions of double taxing. So like depending on which countries like you are living, if they have agreement with each other, and maybe you would still, most probably you would actually have to apply also your income from one country to another one, and they would compare like where you need to pay more taxes and things like that. There also would be questions with the social insurances and things like that. So there's always would be some topics which you need to keep in mind just regarding the legal things. And yeah, it's not that easy already here, even on the paper side. Another thing, yeah, like on the one side, it's nice to be a tourist in the country, but as soon as you need to jump for a longer period of time and you become the tax resident, it's technically already a residency in this country, which means that maybe at some point you will decide to apply for, I don't know, local employer. Maybe you'll find out very perfect position and which you want to work on. And here another problem starts, maybe already like language thingy, like language barrier might appear, and also might be kind of things which are around, let's say, your understanding of the country, like mentality, what is happening, like the how people are behaving at work, what is on the local market available, like what are the competitors and things around that. So there would be a lot of things which you just need to start to catch up, because you became already expat in this country, and you need to understand like what to do next. So like culture and mentality barriers is pretty big thingy, and sometimes it's really underestimated. Most probably I'll cover it a little bit later, because that's also a pretty interesting topic, and that was actually the reason why I was team lead in one, let's say, country. Then when I was changing, I decided to downgrade to senior. First, understand the culture, mentality, attitude at work, and only then, as soon as already it's easier, you understand like the people a little bit better, then you can again become, let's say, team lead, then you can lead the people. Otherwise, it might be pretty much hard when you have one mindset, and then you'll end up in another country, and then you try to push people around you to follow your, let's say, attitude, which might just not fit. They will not understand what you mean and why you want it. And of course, yeah, a local markets understanding. Like if you live in this country, then you also need to understand local markets, local trends, what is important, which, for example, even frameworks might be used, so on, because it also might affect your payslip at the end. So yeah, as you see, on a paper sounds easy and flexible, on the practice is not that much. Of course, if you're willing to do it, or if you're trying to do it for a short period of time, then yeah, it's wonderful. I mean, like you can really just apply for a few papers and then go for, I don't know, a few weeks to work from that location, from that location. This works perfectly. I mean, under certain limits, and still if you respect regulations and some, let's say, social payments. Yeah. What next? Oh yeah, easy to start to work. This is what I really see quite often in ads, that yeah, you just need to pass this course, our trainers are the best, and after you finish it you can find out your work easily and blah 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 blah. Yes and no. I mean, this slogan you can always hear, and on practice what I see, in general what I see, this theory is not a practice. Even if you're perfect, you're a super catchy person, you just pass the course, which is, I don't know, half of a year, 1 year, you will get very big pile of theory, but sometimes theoretical knowledge doesn't help way too much. Unfortunately, in the software development, in most cases, you are choosing between 2 evils, 3 evils, 4 evils, doesn't matter. I mean, more experience you have, more different solutions you know. And usually the task is not to solve the problem. Task is to solve the problem in the easiest way, which fits better for current reality in scope of the current company. So best ever, let's say, theoretical solution might be worst ever solution for this particular environment. And this is exactly what you can learn just based on the experience. You need to make your trials, your failures, and then you would understand, okay, what needs to be chosen, which questions need to be asked before you can do something meaningful. And this is only something what can be gained like with time. You just need to pass and learn for some time, try, make your mistakes. And this is like, I'm coming to second point exactly, that each of us have a different knowledge or learning speed. Like we have different base knowledge and we have different learning speed. Even if you invest 24/7 in your, let's say training, let's say probe or trying something like your tests and whatever, you do some kind of a lot of projects and whatever, it's still, you might have different speed of learning compared to someone else. And this is what you need to consider, and especially respecting that titles not always, let's say, respect the actual knowledge. Salaries not always respect the knowledge as well. This is exactly the moment where it might be pretty much hard to find out the correct path. And this is exactly where you need time to understand what is happening on the market, what to expect, and like where you are standing in the scale, for example. Another thing which I see also, like regarding the easy to start to work, that overall drop in the quality. This is what I mentioned also, like in the past with the juniors, with senior labels, or regarding like this topic with the different levels or level mismatch to the salary and to the expectation in general. This topic become more and more popular, and that might make your life more harder, like in general, to find out, let's say, your right spot in the right company where you can keep learning or actually advance maybe in your career and compete with these juniors, for example, who just finished 1 month course online, even not even in school or university, but I mean university never for 1 month, but in general it might be very hard to compete with them because they just come to the market and they might just do the damping of the prices. So they just say, yeah, I'm junior or I'm senior and I'm ready to work for, I don't know, like bread and water. Could be. Good luck. I mean, it might be a little bit hard to fight against of that. And yeah, another side is if you're already experienced person, might be also hard to find out challenging projects. This is what's another thingy. What I also see that a lot of projects in a different company, especially if you work with the outsourcing, outstaffing, you might, let's say, really see different projects, and I would tell a lot of them are not that rocket science at the end. So under certain limits, you'll realize that there is no real very complex task for, let's say, which you can't really solve. There are always challenges, that's right. But to advance in career, in most cases, there's already creativity needed to understand, okay, like I have like a lot of solutions for the same problem, but which one fits better? Then like that's exactly what makes you like very good, strong senior, to understand what is the real expectations, what are the real wishes, and what are the, let's say, where is the reality, how much, for example, the company ready to invest into the product which you are developing. And then you, like, out of your, let's say, tool set, you'll find out, okay, particular this tool fits probably better, this one fits the best, but it's going to be more expensive, and things like that. So you scale up the different solutions, you explain the risks to the company or to management or whatever, and then you go with your team with developments. But it's still sometimes pretty much hard to find out like very challenging things, especially if you're a person who really loves like very complex tasks and challenges. Yeah, might be hard to find out the right spot in the right company. Mess in the tools and technologies. This is another trend or thingy which looks sometimes as a stopper for beginners and like a no-go sometimes. So first thing is the documentation. I mean, like, what is building the mess? If I compare with past, when I was just studying or learning, let's say, was doing my first steps in the programming, what I did is just open the framework, particular framework, open the best practices from this framework, and then just go through and then try like this framework, like referring every time to the best practices and building something like on the top of this, let's say, documentation. So it was pretty easy to start because you like take a look, you immediately understand the whole picture, the potential capabilities of the framework, what you can do there, and then like the recommendations from the vendor, what you can also like, or what you should follow, and then you're just practicing. The trend which I see at this moment of time is that sometimes documentation is good, that's right, but sometimes the documentation is really, really messy. It's just like a puzzle, like you have like piece here, there, and it just everywhere is puzzled, but at the end you even don't know like what is gonna be on the picture. So it just takes time even to connect all the dots together in documentation. And I'm not talking about open source products. I just am talking about, let's say, like products which you're gonna pay, which you're gonna buy at the end. Even there, sometimes it's really total mess. And yeah, it's sometimes like pretty much hard to understand like what to do, what is the recommendation and things like that. Then another thing is, which brings additional mess, is the earning-driven, let's say, product development. So the trends which I see, and you can find out actually, most probably you already seen it in some of the projects which you are using, for example, is that in the past, product could be started as like for developers by developers. So like things which easy to connect together, like just some blocks, modules, and like relatively good documented, and you can pretty easily build up out of it the project itself and then show to the stakeholder. What I see right now is that now a lot of things are driven by just sales. So just to sell the thing, you need to build a perfect picture, and this is what is actually done. So for example, the platforms got converted and now they're made by developers for non-developers, just to be able to sell the platform. And then like if you take a look, for example, the target audience in this case is your stakeholder, not you as a developer, like a person who will deal with the project, but rather the person who's gonna pay money for that and to you later. Yeah. And the problem is here that, for example, that salesperson who's sitting, for example, in the call or in the room or in the conference, doesn't matter, with also like bare minimum knowledge of in the IT, for example, industry, would sell the product or to your stakeholder, for example, who in worst case also have not that good knowledge in the IT. And he will just show, okay, you just drag and drop here, there, you just move the things around, and you will get at the end working site, for example. Then you get, I don't know, in after like months or few days even, your first revenue, and then you'll get some money on the top, which is works perfectly. I need to admit, this sales strategy really working. until particular moment when this person who first purchased the product and then was drag and drop the things, realized that he wants to change, for example, button and move it from here to there because he wants to be slightly different from the opponents on the market who are using the same platform. And now, good luck. The problem is that in many cases, this type of the platforms designed very well for, let's say, easy generic workflows, which is designed initially. But if you want just a little bit on the top of this generic workflow, you might be in real trouble. And of course, then you need someone who will help you. And this someone might be exactly guys who are building this platform, because in most cases, this platform would have some kind of premium package, which you can purchase on the top, which includes particular amount of human hours who are gonna support you, but their pay slip gonna be pretty much expensive, usually 2 times more expensive than average developer, senior developer, if you just hire them on a permanent basis into your company. And this is like sometimes like pretty much big headache, but this aggressive marketing strategy with the targeting to particular people who are not that much in IT to make decisions. And if these people are not in touch let's say, with their IT departments, or they even were not thinking about that they would need to maintain a project, then yes, this might become pretty quickly into the big, messy and very, very expensive project, which was started like as just drag and drop here and there. And then if this person do not stop and say, okay, now time to rethink again, because pilot seems to be working and seems that now time to think how then, like which strategy I need to follow to let's say advance the business, they try to put things on the top more and more. And this is like with the lottery. If you don't stop at a particular moment of time, then it becomes more and more complex to stop, because you already invested a bunch of, let's say, a big pile of money there. And if you stop, it means that either you throw away all those investments, or you will need to find out a kind of smart way how to combine all the things together. Everything's possible, but it already would require additional, let's say, slowing down of the processes to which you used to, maybe even stop them, and then like make a step backwards and then take a look what is there. So yeah, like kind of aggressive marketing strategy from some of the vendors, some of the companies, and switch off the product mindset from, let's say, from developers to, let's say, developers to sales. Yeah, this one sometimes brings like a big headache and some kind of mess into the project developments. And of course, this also brings us to under some, let's say, conditions overpriced products, because they technically can do everything out of the box on the one side, or they might be free of charge to start working on, but like every new step, every new move in the project would require you to pay money on the top just to activate something here and there, which brings at the end you very big pay slip. Or of course you always have a choice, like to jump into the open source, which is I would claim in some cases also become very quickly into like a rabbit hole. It might look on the paper very easy and nice to just take open source product and go with that. And yes, in some cases that's correct, but in some cases it's also become pretty quickly big mess, because of the, let's say, community thinks that you need that, you assume that you might need that. There might be missing documentation, there might be some kind of, I don't know, hackathons and whatever, which also brings product to the lower quality. And this, of course, brings, let's say, additional, let's say, headaches and mess around. So I would tell when I had to choose the products, in most cases, I was still revisiting possibility to take SaaS solution, just pay for that and get support from the vendor in best ever case scenario, if it's free of charge, because if it's like SaaS. Or worst case, then yeah, maybe just take open source, but that one which has a lot of community and which is already proven over the time that it's like pretty much robust solution. Then it might be good also, I choose. But if you have some kind of specific requirements which do not fit to any of existing, let's say, very known, well-developed product and the open source, then yeah, might be pretty quickly a big, let's say, rabbit hole with infinitive amount of human hours which you need to spend just to put something on the top there, because like 90% works, but the key thing which you wanted to use as a sales point for your product is not working. And to make it working, you need, I don't know, either another product or whatever else. So sometimes not that easy to connect dots together. And of course you would tell, yeah, what's the problem? Just there's a lot of different variations, just choose whatever you need. Right, that's correct, but to do it, you already need to have experience. So you need to know where to search for, what to search for, what are the key questions you need to ask to, for example, stakeholders or to someone who's asking the project, and like how to extract what is, let's say, wished, what is needed, and what is nice to have at the end. Or also like what are the next steps afterwards if the pilot or if project is successful or launch is successful, so that you can plan like in the strategic way what needs to be done. And this is usually requires experience, and that's why in some cases this mess in the documentation, in the best practices, brings additional complexity to the people who just starting the career, because it might be very hard to filter out all this mess, all these marketing things, and all the things which they try to sell to you from what is really needed. And yeah, this is like kind of sometimes tricky. But yeah, this is one of the things which I also like don't really like, and this is what you need to think about when you're working with the projects. Yeah, that's pretty much it for now, at least. I mean, a lot of topics to cover next time, but for now, that's it. Have fun, enjoy your time, and yeah, till next time. See ya.